You know that feeling you get when you're out and about and you see someone in the distance waving at you? You wave back, and then it turns out that they were waving at the person behind you, leaving you with that awkward feeling afterwards. That is how I feel about the slasher genre since the 90s. As a horror fan, we have seen slashers wave at us, and we get all excited that maybe, just maybe, we will see the revival of the subgenre. But then we are left with that same awkward feeling when nothing comes of it. Well, I finally think the slasher is waving back at us, and while that sounds a little weird, that little horror kid in me just got excited. Welcome back to another episode of the Popcorn Confessional. This is Dave from Nerdbox, and I'm accompanied by my wife Jenn, also from Nerdbox. And on this episode, we are going to talk about Malignant. So fire up that Jiffy Pop and meet us in the booth.
It's been 5 whole years, but James Wan returns to directing horror with Malignant. Madison is encountering the night terrors that can be associated with sleep paralysis triggered by surviving a personal tragedy. As her visions intensify, she learns that they are connected to real-life murders taking place in her city. When she tries to inform the police of what is going on, she becomes the primary suspect to the case that slowly unravels into something far more sinister than night terrors.
Now, before we dive into this one, I have to say that the marketing for this movie, just like Don't Breathe 2, is pretty bad.
Yeah, it doesn't depict the movie correctly at all.
No. So when you hear James Wan, what's typically what you think of?
I think paranormal.
Yeah, right? What's your thoughts on it?
I didn't like it. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the reveal. I didn't like the movie.
Okay. Why didn't you like the film?
I didn't like the storyline. I didn't like the reveal to it. And I didn't like the goddamn Saw music being played in this movie. Why? Pick something new.
Here's why. Well, James Wan, this is his love story to 80s horror. And he has accredited the film inspiration to De Palma, Argento, Bava, and Cronenberg. Now, I can see Cronenberg in this film, and I can see De Palma when it comes to Carrie, because there's definitely Carrie influence in this movie. But the Saw music, and there's 80s synthesizers. You like 80s music? You didn't appreciate the 80s music in there?
I said I didn't like the storyline or the reveal, and I didn't like the Saw music.
But I'm saying you didn't like the 80s music?
That was okay. And I liked the sleep paralysis part of it because I suffer from that. It sucks. So I like to see that in a movie, but overall I didn't like the movie.
I feel that the way he delivered the movie with the blends of the music, there was the Saw music in there tweaked a little bit, and then there's 80s synthesizers in there as well to give you that 80s feel music. And it feels nostalgic. It's like a warm hug from somebody that you haven't seen for a while. That's what I have to say.
Whatever the fuck that thing was, I don't want a hug from it,
So as we were mentioning, this movie is definitely marketed wrong. And we're going to talk about what this movie is because I definitely feel that you should go check this out. And this is a slasher film. It's got some paranormal in it. It's got sleep paralysis in it. It all just meshes pretty good together. And I have to say this, but you didn't like Terrified the first time you watched it. You didn't like Behind the Mask the first time you liked it.
I didn't like Terrified the first time I saw it because of how bloody and gory that was. I don't think this movie was that bloody or gory.
It's It's not on the same level as Terrifier, but I'm just saying. So you didn't like Behind the Mask of Leslie Vernon the first time, and you didn't like Trick or Treat. I'm banking that you're going to like this movie.
No, you were watching it again today, and I suffered through it.
That's how good it is.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Now,
1 hour later,
we have a slasher, a brand new slasher. It's refreshing. It is. It's refreshing.
Okay.
We're not seeing Jason recycled. We're not seeing Michael Myers recycled again into another film. We got a brand new slasher potential icon in Gabriel.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought that was stupid, and also I figured out what was going on a half an hour in.
Yes, but those reveals were put in there on purpose because I think if you would have waited to the end of this film to have that reveal on what was going on in the movie, it would have taken away from it. But as we mentioned, they touch on sleep paralysis. They touch on the paranormal. So as you're going through the movie, you think it's going one direction, and then it kind of shifts a little bit, and it shifts another direction. So it's hitting on a lot of different senses. And I have to say that the opening of this movie, classic. Very classic. Because it not only pulls you in right away to the momentum of the film that we're going to get towards the end, but when we get introduced to our protagonist, which was a kick-ass female protagonist, you're bought in. You don't need to see 20 minutes of story or character development in it. You're sold between her and her husband right away.
No, he was just another dickhead hitting his wife. I mean, I wasn't sold on that. And FYI, they didn't reveal it a half an hour in. I just figured it out. Your 13-year-old daughter and I, we whispered about it. We knew exactly what was going on before they even revealed it. It wasn't a huge, awesome reveal.
It wasn't meant to be a huge, awesome reveal.
It sucked.
It was awesome.
Okay.
2 hours later.
The cinematography was amazing. You got to admit that. So there is this one scene where you have the two cops walking through the rain, and it's a one-shot pan across the scenery. That was just beautiful. And they have a lot of close-up shots that they have used in other films like Evil Dead. So a lot of stuff that we're familiar with when it comes to the slasher genre. If you're keen on that 80s type of horror, you're going to see in this and you're going to feel it. And it's going to be like, hey, I feel like I just got invited back to the fun again. Acting was very good in the movie. We had Annabelle Wallis, that you guys may have seen her in the movie Tag.
As the reporter.
Yep. Annabelle Creation.
She's actually Annabelle, the person, not the doll.
She is in Boss Level, which is a great movie. It's on Amazon, or is it on Hulu? It's on Hulu. And she's also in the movie called The Silencing, which we watched last year. Great female character and protagonist in this film. She did an amazing job playing Madison Mitchell, which her sister in the movie, funnily,
is Sydney, but her real name is Maddie.
Yeah.
Madison. I agree. She was great.
The cops were great, too.
I didn't really have a problem with the acting. It was the story. I thought the acting, I think they did really great with what they were given. But the only one I didn't like was the female cop.
What?
I feel like she tried too hard to be Wanda Sykes.
Yeah, but Wanda Sykes is funny. And
Wanda Sykes is funny because she's Wanda Sykes.
I know, but so was this person.
But I think this woman could have just been herself and been funny. She didn't have to try to be. Her delivery was too much like Wanda Sykes.
Maybe the character was.
I did like George Young as Kakoa Shaw. I'm a little confused by his name. He sounds like a bird call or something. Kakoa. They called him K a lot, I noticed.
If I can't say Martine, you can't say Kakoa.
Well, look at his name. Why? I mean, I'm assuming he's supposed to be like maybe Indian, like tribal Indian. Like that's like his bloodline, because I don't know what kind of a name Kakoa is when his real name is George. He has the most like normal name in the world, George Young.
Yeah. He does.
So, and while I didn't like the storyline of the movie, I agree that the acting was great.
Yep.
I really liked the female characters. I thought the sisters, I thought they were amazing.
Yeah, they played off each other well in
they
the movie.
Did.
Now, there was a few gaps in that story towards the end. I guess maybe because they wanted to pick up the pace of the film a little bit and get it towards the ending.
Mm-hmm.
But very good ending to the film, despite this one not liking it.
Well, that's not true. The very ending of the film I did like because I felt like it was something should have happened and it left you hanging. So that part I did like. And there were elements of the movie that I liked. I just didn't like the slasher or whatever the hell you're calling it.
It's a slasher. I will have to say this. If you guys are familiar with Junji Ito, I feel a lot of that influence in this movie as well. Maybe a little anime tossed in there. You'll see what I mean when you see this movie. But good ending. They even show you how the weapons getting created in this film. A little bit of a throwback to Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 where he's making the glove, and we get to see how the weapon's made in this one, which was cool. Had its the killer had its line. I thought that was awesome too. We learned how that came about. And
Okay, so here's part of the problem though too, is that I felt like it was rushed. It wasn't a short movie. It was just under 2 hours. But I felt like some of the characters that were actually significant to the movie, their storyline was rushed.
I can see that.
I felt like they were just like, oh, here's this person, and this is where they play into the past, and then that's it. And I just felt like they could have spent more time on that.
I think, and I was running this through my head a little bit earlier today, thinking about this film as I watch it a second time in 2 days in less than 12 hours, because it's that damn good. And I felt like this movie, the way it was delivered, it was a part 1 and a part 2 combined.
I could see that because of the whole past history and that sort of thing. I mean, I could see how it's a part 1 and a part 2. But again, too rushed to be that way then.
People's attention spans today. So, like me, I was tuned in. I didn't even finish my drink. It was halfway done by the time I got done with this movie, which is very rare. I think if you pull it apart, there's less chances that we would see a sequel for this because, again, it was poorly marketed. But slashers right now, especially original slashers in this century, in the last 2 decades, it's very hard to get off the ground. So you have Sam. You have Leslie Vernon, who's over my left shoulder. You also have Art the Clown. He is down on the bottom shelf. So you have 3 great original slashers that are out there. And there's been other ones as well, like Chrome Skull and blah, 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 blah.
One's not worth mentioning.
And sorry if I pissed you off if you like Chrome Skull. Sorry. I just don't like it. Another guy with a mask. Anyway, so it's very hard to get slashers off the ground right now. And we have another brand new, fresh take on a slasher that's out there. If I had a desk, I'd be pounding on it right now because I love, 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 love this film.
I will say, though, that if there was a second one, I would be curious to see. I mean, I'm curious. I would be curious to see what the hell he would do with it.
See? The intrigue. She comes back into the year. She'll love this film. I guarantee you. We'll review it in a year.
And the thing is, I'm probably not even going to give it a score that you're probably thinking I'm going to give it an F or something.
So what do you rate it?
So I'm going to give it a C. Because I did like elements of it. And I liked, and I did like the female characters. I thought they were very strong.
Yes, they were.
And because I'm curious, based on the ending, to see if it goes anywhere.
See? Inquiring minds want to know. And my rating, as you guys may know, it always comes down to music and characters and story. It's getting an A+, because the music and the soundtrack was awesome. If you like 80s horror movies, even some of those ones on the outskirts, like Reanimator and Basket Case and Videodrome and all those type of films, and you like the slasher films like Prowler for Prom Night, you're going to like this film. You're definitely going to like this film. If you're a fan of 80s, you're going to love this film. Let us know in the comments what you think about that film. Are you excited about Halloween Kills? Did you see Candyman yet? Are you excited about Scream 5 coming and who the killer is? I think it's going to be Stewie. What do you guys think? And
Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let us know of any films that you think we should watch.
Yep. And please share this video. And until the next, see ya.
ya.